Before we get into this video, I just wanted to apologize for it being a little bit of a longer one. There's going to be chapters below, so you can skip to the parts that you want to watch. But I hope y'all enjoy it. I'm back. We're making another video. Today I want to talk about my habit tracking system that I use in my field notes. It's a system that I've used over the last 7 months and has drastically changed my life. To start off, if you don't know what field notes are, they are little pocket notebooks. It's really all that's to them. They have 48 pages. They make all kinds of them at different sizes, but I only use the pocket size. I found that these are the perfect notebooks because you can carry them around with you every day. They fit in a back pocket, they fit in a front pocket. A backpack, super easy. They're pretty durable. I tape the edges just in case they tear, but like I put these things through the ringer for 5 weeks at a time, and they're just the perfect notebook for that, and they're very aesthetically pleasing. I think habit trackers are really cool and important because it kind of gamifies your life. Like, you can make a really cool game out of it. You're checking the boxes if you do things that you want to do. You're not checking the boxes for things that you don't want to do, and you can give yourself your own score, and then you can look at that score and try to make it better. It's just a really cool way to like make it a more of a challenge to yourself to do the things that you want to do. I think everybody should have some sort of habit tracker. It's just a very, very clean and efficient way to keep track of certain habits that you want to keep track of. For example, I track things like my sleep, my water intake, the amount of meals I have per day. These are all like important things, and it's really cool to see the data on how much I'm having each week. So the habit tracking system that I came up with, I took heavy inspiration from a video that PeterMcKinnon posted. Also put my own little twist on mine. This is just an example of a previously completed week of a habit tracker. I have a spot for each day of the week here, and every day I write down a highlight from that day, so we can see on Sunday it was Josiah's wedding. And it's a very cool thing to be able to look back and see the date at the top and say, okay, that day I went to Josiah's wedding. Down here I like to have weekly goals for things to do. So there's like cleaning, health, and workout. I check the box if I complete it. Now over here is my actual daily habit tracker. It looks like I did not do very good this week, but I like to track things like my water, the amount of Red Bull I have, the amount of meals that I have, how much coffee I have. Then down here, I like to track my sleep. Every day I put a little dot there. And I continue the dots, and at the end of the week, I end up connecting all of them, so you see a nice little graph of your sleep. You can see this week, my sleep was all over the place and kind of ridiculous. There was really no consistency. This dashed line here is my goal. Kind of cool. So the really cool thing about having your habit tracker in your field notes notebook is that you get to carry it around with you basically all day. Other habit tracker videos that I've watched, they're all in bigger notebooks that those kind of stay in your room, and then you do them if you remember to pull out that notebook. They're also normally linked to journaling, and those are all things that I've struggled with. I haven't been able to consistently get myself to sit down and actually write journals, but the really cool thing about having your habit tracker in your field notes is that because you kind of make a game out of it where you're challenging yourself to work on these goals, you're opening up the book, if you're finding joy and filling out the boxes when you do a habit, and it's kind of an incentive to keep doing it. At the end of the week, I always make a total and an average, so I can see I average this a day and this is my total for the week. I constantly have targets for those totals and averages on what I want to hit, so I'm really challenging myself to do that, and it's a really fun way to do that. The plus side to having it in a field notes, besides having it with you at all times, so it's just a lot easier to stay consistent with it, is you're gonna start using a notebook more. And if that's something that you want to do, I highly recommend this for you, because You might think that you just have nothing to write down, you have nothing to journal about, and that might be true for some days, but when you have this section where you're writing at least one highlight for a day, that is a form of journaling. You're writing something down at least every day, and then you'll have a lot more pages in your field notes to fill up with anything that you want over the course of the 5 weeks. I found that just opening the book is the start. It's kind of a funny page, but like, you can do some sketching. I suck at drawing, but for some reason, if you give me a pencil, I can draw a pretty good tree. At least I think it's pretty cool. There's another one, it's not as good. But anyway, I do a lot of Sudoku. I find it fun. So these are just like Sudoku problems that I filled out and did. I also like to use the first page in the book as just like something to, like, I always want to put something in here, whether that's a picture, normally it's stickers. And this book though, it's my pass that I had to shoot an artist at CMA. His show didn't end up playing, but anyway, I still had the pass, I went there, so that was a really cool thing to just like tape inside of the book. This page was extremely helpful for me. I was shooting a wedding and I had a whole bunch of information spread among multiple emails. And so before the wedding, I took the time to find all that information that would have been helpful during the shoot day to write it all out. So I have things like a schedule, I have important moments to shoot, other things to shoot, the shooting details, like the settings I needed to shoot at, the amount of clips that I needed, just any information that I needed about this wedding can be found on this page, and it was very easy when I was there and shooting it and on the go. I wasn't pulling up my phone and looking through emails. I was able to just refer to this page and see all of the information that I needed. This was a really cool page. It's my most recent tattoo that I got, and I was able just to draw it out, kind of write out the meaning and everything on it. It's a cool page to look back at my just thought process before going and getting that tattoo. And finally, we've made it to my favorite book. This was the last field notes that I filled out. The first field notes, I had to add extra pages at the end, and this is one of my favorite pages. It's pictures of me and my roommate on a rock climbing trip, me and Eli at King's Bluff, where we went climbing, and the date. I think this is going to be a really cool thing to find in like 5 years randomly when I'm looking through my field notes and see these pictures. It's really cool. This is actually one of the first sets of pictures that I put in my field notes and inspired me to start putting more pictures. I ended up doing more of those later. A little self-portrait, hammock at the lake, another just lake shot. But yeah, it's really cool to be able to like put pictures in here to add to it. I really like the whole adding to it. I have like, this is just like some notes that I didn't want to write in the book, but I still put in the book. I said this is extra pages that I stapled in. Like, yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless with field notes and everything you can do with them. I'm really excited for the day to when I can look back at these and they're not so new and they're actually filled with things that I can remember and really look back at the growth that I've made. Let's head home and I'll show you how to set it up for yourself. All right, now that we're back home, we're gonna grab our field notes and some pens. The first thing that I like to do with my field notes is go through and number each page. All right, so once your pages are numbered, they should look something like this. Once you have your pages numbered, we can start making the calendar. I always start my calendar on the first spread, which is pages 2 and 3. To start, put a little dot here. Draw a line straight down, 5 squares. And then draw a line over 5 squares. and then make that a box. This will be the first day on your calendar. Each box will be 5 by 5, and what you'll want to do is to have 7 of them going across for each day of the week and 5 of them going down for each week. So in the end, you'll have a big 5 by 7 rectangle. I normally start with the outer lines of the calendar, leaving tick marks where each of the day's boxes are going to be made. I found that this process allows me just to draw the lines faster at the very end. So when you're finished, it should look something like this. But next, what I do is I take a different colored pen. You could do the same pen, but I write just each day of the week on the top. I always number my calendar in the bottom right-hand corner of each day's box until I get to the overlapping month, and then I switch it to the top left corner of each day's box. Then at the very end, I just like to write the months and the year of this calendar. Now the next 5 page spreads are going to be your habit tracker. So let's get to it. So open up to page 4 and 5. You'll do the same thing. You'll start with a dot right there. I like to draw a line all the way across to about there. I like to leave this last row with the boxes there. Then what you'll do is you'll go down 3 lines and do it again. Repeat this process until you have 8 lines drawn. Once you have your 8th line drawn, I like to make a little box up here. All right, once you have that drawn, I like to look at my calendar and see which day I'm starting with and which day I'm ending with, and this will be the week that this habit tracker is for. So at the top, I'll write out the day. It's 4/7 through 4/13. And then I'll write down daily tracker. Then what I do is just draw the first letter of each day of the week going down. What you're going to do in each of these sections is at the end of the day, when you're filling this out, you'll put one key memory, highlight of the day, just something down to remember the day and what you did. So let's say on Sunday, I went and worked at a coffee shop after church. I can just put went and worked at coffee shop. Super simple, but it keeps a track of just a highlight of every day, something that you did, something that you want to remember. And it's very easy to look back at and be like, oh yeah, I did that day. The next thing that I like to do is make my little weekly to-do checklist. What I'll do is I'll come one line in and just draw a line straight down to the bottom, skip 4 boxes, and then do it again. Then skip 1 box, or just go to the next line, go down, and then go another 4. Another 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Another 1. Here, I just made basically different categories of weekly to-do lists. So like What I always do is a cleaning, a health, and a work. Now, things that I would put in here are things that just don't happen every day, but should be happening, or at least I want to have them happen every week. For example, something that I would put for clean would be laundry and bathroom. So throughout the week, whenever one of these tasks get done, what I can do is go and say, all right, Sunday, I went and worked at the coffee shop. I also did my laundry. And I can just mark it on the box here, so I know that this week I have done laundry already. Now for health, I like to have a climb and a workout. Now, whenever I do these throughout the week, I can do the same, check those boxes for work. Say it's post on Instagram. If I make an Instagram post for the week, then I can check that box. Now on the next page over, we're gonna make our daily habit tracker, and these are gonna be the goals that every single day you're gonna be tracking if you did it or not, or how many you did of it, so on. So what I like to do is I like to have 8 goals going at the same time. So I put a little dot there to start, and then I would draw a line that is 8 boxes long. And then I would draw a line straight down to the second box, down from here, so right here. So you have that line straight down. Do the same thing on this side. And then you connect them at the bottom. Then I go through and just fill in all of the vertical lines. Yeah, ignore these, my pen was just not working well. Basically, each one of these is going to be for your different goals that you have. And then what I like to do is every 3 boxes, you're gonna draw a horizontal line. It lines up with each of these days. Draw one more horizontal line at the end, splitting the only 2 boxes left. All right, now that that's done, this is where you can write habits that you want to track. For example, I always start with tracking my water. So excuse the bad handwriting, I'm writing sideways. You get the point. Now what I'll do, let's say on Sunday, I count each of these boxes as a water bottle that I have. So if I empty my water bottle 3 times, I would fill it out completely. Let's say on Sunday I only emptied it twice, so I would fill 2 boxes. Let me fill out the rest of these habits real quick. So these are the habits that I want to track on a weekly basis for myself. I can just go through and say, yeah, on Sunday I drank 2 waters. Say I had 1 Red Bull. I did have 3 meals. So now let's say I had 2 coffees. For Bible, I like to track different devotionals that I am doing. Normally, I'm only running 2, so if I do those 2, then I'll put that down, that I did 2 of them. Stretching, I like to quantify these by 5 minutes. So let's say I only stretched for 5 minutes. Would be that box. If I stretched for 10, I'd fill the box up to here. If I stretched for 15, I'd fill it out to here. Xbox, I have a bad video game problem, so I like to put hours played, so each box is an hour. And so let's say I didn't play any Xbox on Sunday because I was working. So we'll leave that blank. And then TV, kind of the same deal. I have that as every hour. Say while I was working, I was watching some YouTube or a TV show just to have something on in the background. And let's say that was going on for 2 hours. I would fill to 2 boxes. Now each day as your week goes on, obviously now you can look across here and see it this way. Like, yeah, I went and worked at a coffee shop on Sunday and these were my habits for that day. The other cool part about this setup is that it goes down, so each day, you're gonna fill it out here, and as the day goes on, you can fill out your boxes going all the way down, and at the very end, forgot, all right, T and A here, I like to total all of my boxes right here, just so I can see the number, and then I average it out at the end of the week. It really helps for like the Xbox and TV, so I can see my daily average of how much I'm playing Xbox and the total hours I spent playing Xbox. It also works with meals. If I'm not eating enough, I can see that. I can see my daily average, what it is, or how many meals I ate the entire week. So now we move on to the sleep tracker. I start with drawing a horizontal line, lining up with the bottom of the habit tracker. And then a vertical line that goes up and also lines up with the top of the habit tracker. Here you will write the hours, so I always start with 11. I never actually get 11 hours of sleep. All right, each one going down. Then what I like to do is find the middle box of each of the days, and then I'll do the same thing that I do over here, where I write out just the first letter of the day of the week. S for Sunday, you skip 2 boxes. Monday, I like to do a dashed line straight across. This just shows me what my goal or target amount of sleep is. I normally set this at 6.5 hours of sleep every night, which is a little bit insane, but if I can get average around that a night, I'm normally pretty happy. So you have a dashed line. It's just a good way to visualize at the end of the week if you stayed above or below what your goal was. Now, how this works is every day, so this would be on Sunday. Let's say Sunday, I didn't get that much sleep. I got 5 hours. I'll just put a dot in the middle of the box that lines up with 5. Now let's go into Monday. Let's say I got 6.5 hours. I hit my goal. If it's a half hour, it's always on the line in between the 2 boxes. So if you go to 6 and then just go up the line in between 6 and 7, that's going to be 6.5. Let's say Tuesday, I got 8 hours. Dot here. Maybe Wednesday, I got 4.5. Then 5.5. Maybe 6. And then Saturday, I got 7. Now at the end of the week, I connect all of my points with a line so I can visualize what my sleep was like for that week. I always forget to do this, but I draw a square here, put a line through it, and go T and A. I do the exact same thing I do over here with my sleep. I total it all up, so I'll just count how many hours I got total, and then I'll average it so I can see my nightly average right there. Now, once I have completed this for the week, I'll take one of these stickers to put the sticker here because it fits. So now when I'm flipping through my book and trying to find which week I'm on, I can see my completed weeks marked with the colored sticker that I chose. All right, so if you made it through my habit tracker tutorial, thank you. If that's all that you're interested in watching, then this is the end of the tutorial for the habit tracker. The rest of the video is just focused around other logs that I like to use, but again, if you don't feel like watching that, then I just wanted to pop in and say thank you for watching my video, and please let me know if you decide that you're going to use my habit tracking system, and hopefully it treats you well. Here's the rest of the video if you're interested in the other logs that I use. Let's say I shot with a dude named John. By the way, this is not real information, but let's say I said this calendar was for April. Let's say it was on 4-8. Now, let's say I'm still waiting for payment, so I'm not gonna check this box yet. And let's say I have delivered the footage. I would check that box, so now I know, yes, I did send him the footage. No, he did not pay me, so I'm still waiting on that. Let's say this was a social media shoot. So I'll write shoot. Let's say I charge them $125. He hasn't paid me yet. I delivered it. I haven't shot with this guy before, so I don't know what he's like. I decided to password protect the footage just to make sure that I get paid. And then once he pays me, I can give him the password to the footage. So let's say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And then the total I would put here as 125. Now, let's say I shoot with somebody else and I get $50 for that shoot. Total, I would just add it up. So it would be 175. Let's say on the 10th, he sent me payment. So I can mark on the 10th that he had paid me and put the close date as 4-10. Now I know this transaction is completely closed, but this is a completely closed shoot that I have done, and it's not something that I have to be worrying about or like finding time to text him to remind him about payment or footage that I still need to edit to give to him. And then I would just fill this out for each person that I have shoots with. Sometimes they're longer lists than others, but I never make it to the end. It would be kind of impressive if I did. But yeah, I normally have these lines going all the way across. Just fill out this whole spread. Now, the next spread that I like to do is my climbing log. Now, this one's a little bit more interesting, but the way that I fill it out is basically, let's say I'm going climbing on, we'll use the 10th as an example. I do bullet points. I normally try to keep it only 3 boxes long, but I don't fill any lines this way just because sometimes I climb more things than others, but I'll just write out details. So maybe project on blue 6-7. Let's say that's one of the climbs that I'm working on. I know what that means when I write it down. Most people are gonna have no clue, but I'll be able to remember, like, yeah, that's the one that I'm working on. Could fill it out for however many climbs that I'm doing. And then what I do is draw the line across. So now this separates it. The next time I go climbing, I would fill it out under here. But let's say I did bouldering. I would just fill this down to the bottom. Doesn't really matter. And then I'd put the date as 4-10. So on 4-10, I can see that I went bouldering and the climbs that I did. If I also did top rope or lead, I could also fill that out there. This was my last month's climbing log. So you can see it's a lot more filled out. It's not gonna make any sense to people who are not rock climbers. So that is that. The very last little list, not really a log, that I like to make is my wish list and my watch list. So this is just something that I like to fill out. I can refer to it throughout the 5 weeks. Normally, this is the exact same across all of my books. Maybe each book something else gets added. As time goes on, some things get removed. It just depends, but it's a good thing for me to keep track of. I'm constantly getting shows and movie recommendations, so I can just bullet point. It's also like making your own Netflix watch list, but also you can do it across every single platform that there is. It's a lot. It's just on pen and paper, because you can just write down the title of the show you want to watch. You could even write down where to find it if you need to, but like, I just have a running list of TV shows to watch, so it's a good way just to remember them so you don't forget. Same thing with movies, if you have movies you want to see. And the same thing with items. It doesn't matter how big or small. Like, if I want something but I'm not instantly buying it, maybe I have a new camera lens on my list. That's going to be on there for a while because those things are expensive. But at least I can be constantly reminded, like, yeah, this is something that you could save for whenever you're spending money. A fun way for me just to keep track of the things that I want to get and want to watch. For example, this is a filled out wish list and watch list. I didn't even put the cost and totals here. It's just the items. It doesn't really matter. It's just something to remember. I also forgot to record an outro, but if you made it to the end of this video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. That's how I set up my field notes and use them. Hopefully you got something out of this, but I'll say it again. Please let me know if you end up using my system. I would love to hear how it works for you. Thanks.